Welcome back to the MOOC course on research writing. My name is Aradhana Malik and I am helping you with this course. And in this class, we are going to talk about outlining. This week, we are starting the discussion on writing per se, specifically writing. So, we are going to talk about how we start on this big project called a research paper or a research report. So, we start with getting our thoughts together. In a previous lecture, we had discussed about generating ideas. Now, what do we do with all those ideas that we have generated? So, let us talk a little bit about outlining. Okay. Components of effective outlines. What are the components of good outlines or of outlines that can really help you? The first component is parallelism, which means each heading and subheading should preserve parallel structure. If the first heading is a verb, the second heading should also be a verb. So, the way you write the outlines should be consistent. Excuse me. The next component is coordination. All the information in heading 1 should have the same significance as the information in heading 2. So, outlines consist of these broad headings or broad classifications of ideas. Now, we must classify the ideas in such a way that the different headings have the same significance, the different subheadings have the same significance, and so on. Then, subordination. The information in the headings should be more general, while the information in the subheadings should be more specific. Division. Each heading should have 2 or more parts. So, when we talk about headings, sometimes, again, this is not a diktat or a confirmed rule per se, but it is helpful if each heading can have 2 or more subheadings, so that your thoughts can get organized. However, when we write more complex documents, sometimes this may be possible, sometimes this may not be possible, but we should try to break up our thoughts and to give a direction to our thoughts. Now, I will give you an example. I was discussing this with my research scholar. If he listens to this lecture, he will have a hearty laugh because I am using him as an example. He has the habit of reading everything, understanding everything very, very passionately, getting into the heart of things, understanding them, and then writing about them. He just pours his heart out on paper. So, what he does is he will collect all these thoughts and then he will start writing, and that is what I encouraged him to do, because in that way you do not miss out on anything. So, I said, first writing, you just pour your heart out on paper and then organize later. Now, when it comes to organizing later, that is where he seems to find it a bit of a challenge to do that. What we did in that case was, I told him that now what we will do is, and we will discuss this in the last part of this lecture, we will do what we call as a reverse outline. So, I said, okay, you first pour your heart out on the paper and then you try and read everything you have written from a fresh perspective and tell me what this paragraph is talking about, what the sentence is talking about. So, thinking of the categories that different parts of his paper could belong to. So, that is what an outline does for you. It helps you channelize your thoughts into different categories. You can start with an outline, which means you already think of different directions your thoughts could take, and then probe in those directions further. So, you divide up your thoughts and say, okay, I am going in direction A. Now, I am going to take go on a road journey from Calcutta to northern India. When we talk about northern India could be anywhere between, say, Delhi and Jammu and Kashmir, or maybe northeastern India. So, you just take that road journey. So, you travel in one direction. Now, when I go to the northeast, what all do I want to see? I could see northern Bengal, I could see Sikkim, I could see Arunachal Pradesh, I could go as far as Nagaland or Tripura. So, when I talk about northeastern India, I am just taking one road. So, I break it up and that becomes the subheadings. Then, when I reach, say, or I go to Assam, and then when I go to Assam, maybe I want to go to different places in Assam. So, those become the subheadings. Okay. So, it is not only Assam, it is not only Guwahati, I also want to go to other places in Assam. Similarly, for Arunachal Pradesh, I reach Arunachal Pradesh and then I want to see the different places in Arunachal Pradesh. Similarly for Nagaland, I fly into Dimapur, now what do I do from there? So I want to take a road trip to Kohima, I want to go into different other, the different tribal villages. So that is what we are talking about here. You take the main road, the main journey is okay. The direction is that I want to visit northeastern India. Then from then on, the subheadings or the headings would be say Sikkim, Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Tripura. So I go to different places there and then I break it up. I break up my journey. So that is what we are talking about here. You divide up your thoughts and then you specify what exactly it is that you want to study. Then why should you create an outline? An outline aids in the process of writing. It gives you a skeleton, it gives you a direction. It helps you organize your ideas. It presents your material in a logical form. A skeleton is formed and you start filling in that skeleton with meat. Okay, so that is what an outline does for you. It shows the relationships among the ideas in your writing. So when you break up the different parts, then the relationships of different ideas can be established through your outline, or they become visible through your outline. It constructs an ordered overview of your writing, and it defines boundaries and groups. It tells you where not to go. So just taking that example of traveling northeast from Kharagpur, I know that say maybe Arunachal Pradesh is as far as I can go. I cannot cross over into Tibet or China. So, or when I go to the far northeast, I go up to Nagaland, and then I know I cannot cross over into Burma. So that is where the boundaries are. This is as far as I will go. Alright. So you know exactly where you want to go and how far you want to go. What do you want to limit the scope of your work to? How do you create an outline? You first determine the purpose of your paper. Find out why you are writing your paper. Then determine the audience you are writing for. Find out who is going to read your paper, which article you are submitting it to, whether you are writing it for your as a progress report for your dissertation, whether you are writing a journal paper to submit it into for submission into an academic peer reviewed journal, or whether you are writing as an expert. Okay, who are you writing for? Then develop your thesis or problem statement and research questions. So you develop your idea, you say this is what I want to probe further into, and then you say these are the questions I am going to ask. Now in order to do that, you need to brainstorm. We talked about brainstorming in a previous class. You list all the ideas that you want to include in your paper. Then you organize, you group the related ideas together. Then you arrange the material in subsections from general to specific or from abstract to concrete. So I want to travel to the northeast, I want to go to Assam, I want to go to Nagaland, I want to go to Tripura, I want to go to Arunachal Pradesh, and so on. So I want to go to Sikkim. So those are the broad headings. So these are the subsections. Then within those subsections, then you list the districts that you want to visit within each of those states. Okay, so you arrange the material in the subsections. Then create main and subheadings. Okay, so then the main headings would be the names of these states. The subheadings would be the names of the districts you want to visit within each state, and the subheadings would probably be the district headquarters or the towns you want to visit within each district, and so on. Okay. The inverted triangle approach helps you go from a general thought to a specific idea. How do we do this? You write down the general information you have about a particular topic. You start with the introduction, what are you talking about, why is it important, etc. Then you focus the direction of your paper. You start talking about a specific issue within that general information. Then you get more specific and you say this is what I was talking about, and here are some examples to prove what I am talking about. Then you give the supporting details, and so you say this is what I was talking about, Here is the data, you get into specific details. So, data point A, B, C, D, E, and then you draw conclusions and you say, okay, with all this data, with the analysis of the data that I have collected, this is the conclusion I have drawn, and that in turn helps me, or that in turn relates to what I was talking about earlier. And then you wrap up, and then there is a warrant or a claim, and you say, based on the analysis of the data that I have collected, this new knowledge has been created, and this is how it ties in with the previous knowledge that I started the discussion with. Okay. Now, different types of outlines are there. We have, in an outline you would have a problem statement, you would have research questions, you would talk about the introduction. So, you list the introduction, what do I know about this problem, and you list it in points. The body would be, how do I solve this problem, the methods, the study of methods, and so you write down the broad headings: study of methods, study of quantitative methods, study of qualitative methods, then the selection of the appropriate method, the sample size, so you discuss all that. Now, the procedure, the timeline that was followed, the actual procedure that was followed to collect the data. How do I, or how did I solve this problem? Then you come up with, or you have a conclusion, or you could have a results and discussion section here. Before the conclusion, you could have a results and discussion. Based on the work that I did, this is what I found, and this is how what I found relates to what I was talking about earlier. This is how what I found makes any sense, and then you wrap up. How will my solution contribute to the existing body of knowledge? Now, what do I know about this problem? How do I know that this problem exists? So, you need to describe that. How do I know that a problem exists? You will find that out through a study of the literature. What do I know about the importance of this problem? Why should I spend time finding a solution to this problem? So, you need to write down all of that. Then, what is the scope of my suggested solutions to this problem? What specific percentage of the problem will I be able to solve, and why? All of this, the points, the most crisp information about this will go into your outline. How do I plan to, or how did I solve this problem? The methodology, the results, the discussion of the results in light of the objective or problem statement. All of this will be listed in your outline. How does my solution contribute to the existing body of knowledge? So, in this you will again revisit the significance. Why did I spend so much time and so many resources finding a solution to this problem? So, you talk about the significance. Was I able to fill the gap in the knowledge base that I set out to fill? How or how not? Why or why not? So, you talk about the limitations. I thought I would run a 100-meter race. However, I was only able to run for 80 meters. I thought I would go as far as Nagaland. However, I was only able to cover Sikkim and Assam and Arunachal Pradesh. I could not reach Nagaland. So, those would be your limitations. Why was I not able to drive all the way to Nagaland? Okay. So, how does my solution provide a stimulus for the generation of more insights into my area of research? These would be your future directions, and that would then again be covered in the points for your outline for your conclusion. Okay. Now, different types of outlines are there. You could have alphanumeric outline, which could contain Roman numerals, capitalized letters, Arabic numerals, lowercase letters, etc. You could have full sentence outlines. So, you could actually have outlines where you could write full sentences instead of just the main points. You could write full sentences, full statements that describe what is to follow or what needs to be included, and you can have decimal outlines where you have sections and subsections and so on. So, depending on what you are writing about, you could cover all of this in your outlines. Okay. The problem statement, research questions, body, conclusion, all of this could be covered in your outlines and here in these different types of outlines. Okay, so these are some guidelines that are there. Now, reverse outlining is something that I was telling you about. You pour your heart out on the paper and then in the left hand margin write down the topic of each paragraph. When you're working on the computer, you could use the track changes button or the review section, and then you read one paragraph and then you say, what is this paragraph talking about? So, you write down the heading of the paragraph above that paragraph, provided and assuming that the paragraph is really talking about one issue. If it's talking about several issues, then you might need to break it up. Okay. So, write down the topic of each paragraph or each set of statements that you have made. Try to use as few words as possible. When reading, these notes should work as quick references for future study or in-class discussion. Then, when revising your work, these notes should tell you if each paragraph is focused and clear. So, when you're writing, this is what I was telling you about. My student has a habit of pouring his heart out on paper, which is very nice because he doesn't miss a single thing and he does extensive research. However, many times when you're so passionately writing, you tend to combine several things. So, what I did was I took his document and ripped it apart, not physically, but conceptually. I went through his document and I said, okay, what is this paragraph talking about? This paragraph is talking about this particular aspect of your research. This paragraph is answering maybe, you know, how many types of automotive manufacturers there are, or what is the rate of growth of these automotive manufacturing companies. So, in some places he had just mentioned that the industry is growing this much and the industry has grown this much. So, I said, okay, all you are saying is you are only talking about the rate of growth of automotive industries and nothing else. So, you know, so those are the headings I gave to his work, and today he asked me if he could really, you know, follow up on what I had done, and I said absolutely, because that is a reverse outlining procedure. When somebody looks at your document from a fresh eye, then they get to see it, but you can do it yourself also. Okay, so you break up whatever you're talking about. In the right hand margin, write down how the paragraph topic advances the overall argument of the text. Again, be brief. When reading, these notes allow you to follow the logic of the essay, making it easier for you to analyze or discuss later. So, on the left side, you write down the main headings, and on the right side, write down how this heading relates to the overall picture of your essay. Okay. When revising your own work, these notes should tell you if each paragraph fits into the overall organization of the paper. You may also notice that paragraphs should be shifted after completing this step. So, after you've completed this step, you will realize that you have talked about one aspect or one subheading in, say, place A. You have talked about another subheading in, say, place B. And so, after you have made these sort of notations, then you might want to shuffle the work that you have or shift some of the work that you have done to different places, and it helps you in organizing your work. So, this is all about outlines. Now, we will discuss some more about how you write, how you create meaning in another class. Thank you very much for listening.